You're going to get 3 or 4 players back for tomorrow. Nemi Porzingis, GP2. Who else is it?
Guy Santos.
Guy Santos. So those 3 players will play a lot of minutes. So the roster will look totally different. Look, the Warriors got blown out in the first half, and Wembanyama set the tone. In 29 minutes, he had 41 points, 18 rebounds, 3 block shots, 16 of 22 from the field. They run a lot of sets, and Festus mentioned those dunks he's getting, old school curls to the paint, which usually mid-range pull-up jumpers or kind of floaters. They floated up in the air. He just catches and dunks it. But then the second half, they started curling him off those screens, and he catches and puts it on the floor and gets to the rim. So they put a lot of pressure on the rim in your interior defense. Their weakness, to a degree, is three-point shooting, mainly from the guards, which Fox, Castle, and Dylan Harper don't shoot it well. They're in the low 30s, but their wings do most of the three-point shooting. And Vassell, Champagny, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes are all 38, 39%. So they do a good job of making sure which players shoot the right shots. Mitch Johnson is a really good coach. We saw at the end there, he was not very happy
with Carter Bryant, the rookie out of Arizona.
And let him know like this game's not over. We're trying to, and you mentioned, Bonte, is this a game where you can get to some bad habits? And I think Mitch Johnson saw that. Get a little sloppy, called a timeout, got into Carter Bryant because he was a defensive assignment. And I think that's part of the experience. You know, some people think that the only reason maybe they're not ready yet is experience. But I think Mitch Johnson's doing a great job making sure they stay focused because they've had a lot of blowouts lately. This could have been like their 7th or 8th game in a row, winning by 15. So it is important to maintain your championship habits no matter what's going on around you.
Well, the Spurs led wire to wire. They scored the game's first 10 points. And who set that tone? It was Wemby, of course, the alien here. And they were up 10-0 before we blinked, Fezzi, in the tunnel. They're up 17-3. Steve Kerr had to call a timeout to get his group organized here. And Wemby really set the tone. He had game-like numbers. 17-9 just in the first 12 minutes of action.
This is playing to your strengths, Monte. You know, you have a big man right there, put him by the rim, and just throw the ball up in the air. And I thought the Spurs did a great job driving, putting the big man. I mean, that is a zone. And they throw it to Wemby at the nail. He takes one dribble and dunks on whoever is there. I mean, it felt like the Warriors were cones just around this guy who's 7'5".
Well, you see the shot chart, and he's made a concerted effort to take less three-point shots, and he's really focusing on putting pressure on the rim. So that's a credit to him and also the team. You know, getting all the players to understand what they're trying to do. You saw those 2 clips of Stephon Castle. Those are shots most teams, they're good shots, floaters. He keeps the defense on his back and just floats it up. And, you know, that's going to be a hard thing to defend no matter how big you are. But I give a lot of credit. Obviously, Wembanyama is a superstar. He's going to be a multi-MVP moving forward, if not this year. But I love the way the supporting cast really plays to their strengths. Their roles are well defined. And I said it earlier, pregame. It reminds me of those San Antonio Spurs dynasty years under Popovich.
I never seen a 7-footer move like this. You know, I've seen 7-footers and a guy who's 7'2" and above. Usually, when those guys are in the game, they can block shots, but it's hard for them to transition from offense to defense. The Spurs utilize Wemby on all aspects of the game, all facets. You see him defensively, standing in the middle. He's guarding and switching out to the perimeter. He's standing in the middle of the paint and blocking shots. Then he runs in transition. Sometimes he grabs the rebound and runs in transition and is taking the ball in addition to his teammates. You go in zone, they just put him at the nail, and he takes a dribble and goes to dunk it. They use this guy so well around the rim and his size. And then don't even add the fact that he shoots threes. This just makes it unreal. It feels like video game numbers when this guy's on the floor.
He tied season highs in just 29 minutes of action. 41 points, 18 rebounds. This could have been a 50-point night for him had he played a few more minutes.
Well, it's because of his incredible efficiency, his good feel for the game, because you see a lot of those clips, he's just catching and dunking. So he has to get to those spots, the timing, the awareness of his teammates. And you saw those clips of Castle. One time, you know, Wemby came down, gave it to Castle. Castle gave it, and Wemby ran the pick and roll where Castle was the screener. Yeah, so he's got so much talent, so much skill. And again, the Spurs do a good job of balancing that attack with him. Not too many threes, enough points in the paint. And then defensively, we haven't even talked about that yet. The impact on the defensive end, which creates easy offense for the Spurs.
But think about that. We saw the Warriors dribble into the paint at will against San Antonio. And Castle and Fox said, go ahead and do that. We have Wemby behind us. And we saw Nate Williams, AJ Cry, whoever handled the ball, they thought twice about going up inside the paint.
Yeah, I asked some of the coaches for the Spurs, what difference does he make? What does he do for the players? And even asking some of the players, they said you have so much more confidence to go out there and pressure the perimeter. And when you pressure the perimeter, you know that if you ever get blown by, that there's a big guy in the middle that's going to block every shot. Even when the guard gets by you, he's got to think twice just to think, you know that your shot's going to get blocked. This is why they're top 3 in defense. And the Spurs, they look like contenders right now because those little details, offense is important, but defense for them, they feel like this is one of their calling cards. If they lack anything on the three-point line, they're making up for it defensively.
I mean, it's always been important to have great rim protection. And this week I was listening to Sean Elliott, the former Spur, great player, great announcer for the Spurs TV. And he was talking about when he played. He was comparing it to this team now, that himself, Mario Elie, those teams of the Spurs had so much confidence to get up and pressure the ball because they knew they had David Robinson and Tim Duncan behind them to block shots. Very similar situation here with Wembanyama, but even more so now because of the three-point line. So you really want to overextend beyond the three-point line, make your defensive assignment, make them put the ball on the floor, take it to the rim, chase them from behind, and all of a sudden that's not an easy shot. There's no shot to be had. Never mind an easy shot because Wemby can be in the paint and block a shot at the three-point line. So it's a huge advantage, and the confidence and the aggressiveness of the perimeter defenders keeps increasing.
No doubt. You got Stephon Castle as well, flirting with a triple-double, 15, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds. All right, let's go on the other sideline here and talk about the Golden State Warriors. You start with Draymond Green, who drew the assignment of Victor Wembanyama. And this is an assignment that Draymond relishes, right? He wants to play against the top dogs. But everybody has their work cut out for him against Wemby. And by the way, Draymond's 4 threes, you'll take that all day long.
Good numbers by Draymond offensively.
Fezzi, 9 and 19 now when he makes at least 2 threes in a game. Not saying I don't want him making threes. Continue to make those threes, but it just wasn't enough tonight.
Yeah, the Warriors are shorthanded, so they needed Draymond to put those, really take these shots, and he took them. 4 for 6 from the three-point line, huge. A couple takes, too, trying to get to the rim on Wemby, which is ballsy. Draymond did a great job tonight of trying to go against Wemby, but Wemby's 7'6". Draymond is 6'6" at best. You could just see every time they put him in a tough position, the guard comes off a ball screen. He has his man on his back, and it's Draymond's job to guard both the ball handler and Wemby. Even for a guy my size, that's tough to do. But, Wemby's 7'6". All the guard has to do was make Draymond commit just a little bit, and they would just throw the ball up to Wemby. And what do? It's a layup every time. 41 points in 29 minutes.
Can I revise my prior answer to one of your questions? I'll take Draymond's aggressive three-point shooting into every single game. If that's the shot that's available, he was 4 for 7 tonight?
4 for 6, 4 for 7 overall.
4 for 6 in the three-point line, and every shot I saw, great backspin, great arc, great balance. He looked like a 40% three-point shooter on the ones he made. So to me, if that shot's available and Draymond knocks it down, when Steph gets back, maintain that aggressiveness. That's what Steph Curry needs when he steps back on the floor, whenever that might be. All the players around him to be aggressive. We're talking about Steph's gravity.
Right.
Those shots are available without Steph's gravity. So you have to maintain that aggressiveness. I thought Draymond, he took on the challenge defensively, but also Wemby was kind of disrespecting him, and he made him pay. He knocked those shots down. I think that is something I would carry on. I would ask Draymond, if you're open, shoot those shots with confidence.
I agree. 14 points in all for Draymond Green. Was saddled in foul trouble in that first half. Had 3 in the first half there. Then we get to Brandon Podjemski before we close out this segment. And we discussed Paz. He had 4 straight games in which he scored 20-plus. Tonight, just played 17 minutes and 14 seconds. As I believe Steve Kerr wanted to rest Pods for tomorrow as this game got out of hand, Fezzi. You see the 14 points. I thought he kept the Warriors. Look, they cut it to 5 in the first half, 36-31. About 10 minutes and 31 seconds left in the second quarter. Potts kept them in the game and was rolling there. Overall solid numbers in just 17 minutes of action.
Yeah, exactly. Bonte, you got to put a little asterisk next to these numbers because Pods played 17 minutes. And you mentioned in the pregame that he is leading the Warriors in the past, since Steph Curry has been hurt. He's leading the Warriors in minutes. And so that says a lot for a guy who's played every game. The Warriors have been relying on him as a ball handler, as a shooter, as a scorer. Wemby makes it tough for you to get into the paint, but he still got a couple of layups there. Fast breaks are important, but he hit those threes, and that's what the Warriors are really relying on, this fact to hit shots right now.
Yeah, in abbreviated minutes, played well. I think, Pods has been playing great basketball. They're going to need to play at a high level tomorrow, so obviously his minutes were cut back. Fezzi mentioned it. This is game 76. Brandon Podjenski has played in every single game.
No doubt about that. You don't see that in today's NBA.
You don't see that no more.
Last word to do that was Kevon Looney.
Big Loon,
Big
yeah,
Loon
that's
dog.
right.
Okay,
Iron Man Loon.
But Pods is probably playing a lot more minutes than Loon at times. Loon would get those 4-minute bursts there, but Brandon Podjenski is solid night here, but the Warriors get blown out at the hands of the San Antonio Spurs. We're here.